Can you imagine renovating your dream home, only to uncover a nightmare hidden within its walls? That's exactly what happened to Sarah. It all started on a sunny Tuesday afternoon. Sarah, a graphic designer who'd recently bought a charming but slightly run-down fixer-upper, was finally tackling the living room. She was determined to create an open, airy space. That meant taking down a particularly stubborn section of drywall that separated the living room from what she guessed was an old, sealed-off closet. Armed with a crowbar and a whole lot of enthusiasm, she started prying away the boards. Dust filled the air, the smell of old wood and forgotten memories. As a large piece of the wall came crashing down, something small and metallic clattered onto the floorboards, glinting in the afternoon light. It was a USB drive, a really old one, the kind with a clunky plastic casing and maybe a couple of gigabytes of storage, if she was lucky. Her first thought was that it must have belonged to the previous owners. Maybe it was full of old family photos or documents. Curiosity got the better of her. After wiping the dust off on her jeans, she plugged it into her laptop. Her computer whirred for a moment, recognizing the ancient device. A single folder appeared on her screen, cryptically labeled Evidence. Her heart skipped a beat. This was definitely not holiday pictures. With a shaky hand, she double-clicked the folder. It was filled with video files, each one time-stamped. The dates were from over 20 years ago. The first video she opened was grainy, shot with a low-resolution camera. It showed a darkened parking garage. Two men were arguing. The audio was muffled, but the tension was palpable. Suddenly, one of the men pulled something from his jacket. The camera shook violently, and the video cut out. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. This wasn't a movie. It felt real. Too real. She clicked on another file. This time, the scene was a dimly lit warehouse. Piles of unmarked crates were stacked high. The camera, seemingly hidden, panned across the room to show a group of people exchanging large briefcases. The faces were indistinct, lost in the shadows and poor video quality, but the nature of the transaction was unmistakable. She was watching crimes unfold, events that happened 2 decades ago, recorded by an unknown person and hidden inside her wall. Who filmed this? And why hide it here? Was the person who filmed it in danger? Were they trying to expose these people, or were they part of it? A million questions swirled in Sarah's mind. She felt like she had stumbled into a story that she was never meant to see. The USB drive felt heavy in her hand. No longer just a piece of old technology, but a key to a dangerous past. Over the next few hours, Sarah went through every single file. Each video was a puzzle piece, a snapshot of illegal activities ranging from what looked like smuggling to something far more sinister. One clip showed a car being deliberately run off a remote road. Another captured a hushed conversation about making someone disappear. It was a catalogue of cold, calculated criminality. The most disturbing part was that she started to recognize some of the locations. The old shipyard down by the waterfront, a back alley behind a now closed downtown restaurant. These crimes had happened right here, in her own city. As she pieced the timeline together, she realized all the events took place within a 3-month period, 20 years back. It was clear the person filming was getting closer and closer to the core of this criminal operation. The final video on the drive was the most terrifying. The camera was shaky, as if the person holding it was running. Heavy breathing filled the audio track. The footage showed a frantic chase through a dense forest at night. Branches whipped past the lens, then a sudden stop. The camera fell to the ground, capturing a blurry image of a pair of boots standing over it before the recording abruptly ended. That was it. The story just stopped. Sarah felt sick to her stomach. The person who filmed this was likely silenced. This USB drive wasn't just evidence, it was their last testament. Now she was the one holding it. What was she supposed to do? Going to the police seemed like the obvious answer, but the footage was 20 years old. The people in it were shadows. Would the authorities even take it seriously? Or worse, what if some of the people involved were still around, still powerful? What if they found out she had this? Her new home suddenly felt less like a sanctuary and more like a cage. For 2 days, Sarah lived in a state of constant anxiety. Every creak of the floorboards, every car that passed by her window sent her heart racing. She couldn't sleep, she couldn't work. The USB drive sat on her desk, a ticking time bomb. She knew she couldn't just delete the files and pretend she never saw them. The person who filmed this, whoever they were, had risked their life. Ignoring it felt like a betrayal of their sacrifice. She decided to do some research of her own, cautiously. She started looking up news archives from 20 years ago, searching for any reports that might match what she saw in the videos. She searched for missing persons cases, unsolved crimes, anything. After hours of scrolling through microfiche articles online, she found it. A small article on page 7 of the local paper about a freelance journalist, a man named Daniel Carter, who had gone missing. He was last seen investigating alleged corruption at the city's Port Authority. The date of his disappearance matched the date of the final video on the USB drive. It all clicked into place. Daniel Carter was the one who filmed this. He had gotten too close and they had made him disappear. He must have hidden the drive in the wall of this house, maybe his safe house, as a last desperate act, hoping someone would one day find it, and that someone was her. Armed with a name and a story, Sarah knew she couldn't stay silent. She made an anonymous copy of the drive's contents and sent it to a well-respected investigative journalist at a national newspaper, along with a detailed email explaining how she found it and her theory about Daniel Carter. She didn't give her name or address. It was too risky. Weeks turned into a month. Sarah heard nothing. She started to think maybe it was all for nothing. Maybe the journalist thought it was a hoax. She tried to go back to her normal life, to focus on her renovation, but the secret she was keeping loomed over everything. The empty space in the wall where she'd found the drive was a constant reminder. Then one morning, it was everywhere. The story broke. Front page news. Cold case cracked. Decades-old corruption ring exposed by hidden footage. The journalist had done it. Her anonymous tip had blown the case wide open. The grainy videos, enhanced by modern technology, were just enough for authorities to reopen the investigation. Old suspects were questioned, new leads were followed. The story of the missing journalist Daniel Carter was finally being told. The investigation led to the arrest of several prominent city figures, including a retired shipping magnate and a former high-ranking police official. They were the men in the videos, their faces now older, but their crimes finally catching up to them. The hidden USB drive had served its purpose, delivering justice 2 decades later. Daniel Carter was hailed as a hero who gave his life in pursuit of the truth. Sarah watched the news reports from the safety of her newly renovated living room. No one ever knew it was her. She was the anonymous woman who found a message in a bottle, hidden not in the ocean, but within the walls of her own home. She had finished what Daniel Carter had started, and as she painted the final coat on her new wall, she felt a sense of peace. The house was finally quiet, its last secret told, its ghosts finally at rest. She had not just built a new living room, she had helped rebuild a piece of her city's integrity, and that was a foundation worth building on. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more. We'll see you in the next one.